Hey, welcome to Homebrewer TV. Glad you could join me. We're doing some pale ales today, and we're going to be harvesting some yeast and giving it a wash job. And I want to ask you, have you gotten your own mash paddle? Oh, I love this. And how about brew your own? Have you signed up? This is such a great magazine. So you guys, join me. We're going to have some more fun today. Yeasts are one of our most important workers in our brewery. Obviously, we want to treat them as nice as we can. And there are so many different strains of yeasts and different types of yeasts. And boy, can yeast get expensive. However, how about let's just save our yeasts, use them over and over again. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be recycling some of our yeasts, washing them, and storing them. This segment sponsored by homebrewtalk.com. Join us and talk about your homebrew ideas, questions, recipes, or anything else to help with your homebrewing enjoyment. homebrewtalk.com. I've just transferred my wort from my fermenter into some kegs. So now I've got in the bottom of this some great yeast. But I also got a bunch of trub that I really don't want. And that's what I'm going to want to separate. So what I'm going to use, this is what I'm going to call my junk collector. I'm going to take an initial get rid of the trub into here. This is my washing bin, a couple storage bins, and this holds some water that I boiled for about 20 minutes to sanitize it, and it's going to be used to wash our yeast. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is start collecting, getting rid of the bad trub, and collect as much of the good as I can. Now, if you happen to be using a plastic bucket fermenter, it is going to work just as well for you. Matter of fact, it's probably going to be easier because you can see what you're doing. And if you're using a glass carboy, great. You're going to see those layers in there. And you're basically going to see three different layers. You're going to see a bottom layer of really ugly stuff. This is the trub that we are not even slightly interested in. Then we're going to see this lovely creamy layer. This is our great yeast, and this is what we want to recycle. Finally, sitting on top of that's going to be a little leftover beer. So when we decant it out of those containers into our bucket, we want to be very careful to try and not get any of that old trub that we don't want to use. With my conical fermenter, I'm able to go to the bottom, get the crap out, and start with the good stuff. First thing we're going to do is we want to get rid of some of that old trub that's in here that we do not want. There it comes. This has got some of the parts that we couldn't possibly want. Dead cells, some hops and other stuff. And you'll notice it starts to flow a little bit better, but we still just got the uglies. There we come. So now we're going to get rid of that. Now we're going to capture some of that good yeast. You can see how it flows. Till we get a little bit of that beer flowing out with it. So, to the yeast collected, I'm going to add some of this sanitized water. The reason I'm using such a large container is I like to have plenty of headroom to be able to work this stuff through. Because basically, it's time to do a little washing of the yeast. And that's what we're doing. So what's happening? Well, I'm breaking up all the clumps. And now I'm just going to let this sit for probably an hour, and it'll start to separate. As you can see, we've allowed this now to settle down, and it's broken down into layers. You can certainly see now the distinct layers. Look at this dark layer down here. This is a little bit of leftover trub that we didn't get out, but that's what we washed out. We don't want that. Then we've got this beautiful layer of yeast, and of course, we've got some old beer up here. I want to very carefully decant some of this liquid off of my yeast. I don't have room for all this liquid in my bottles, so I'm going to very carefully decant it. Now, we don't want to be moving this in much because we want to keep the layers basically separated. So let's do a little decanting of our liquid. So very carefully, I'm going to eliminate some of that liquid by decanting it into my junk container. Now we just need to add our yeast and liquid to each jar. And I'm watching the tube that I have in the back to make sure it's kind of staying. I can see the color difference. We've got it. So now I just need to seal up my jars and put them in a refrigerator. What I'm going to do also is I'm going to put a nice little label on there. It's going to tell me date that I harvested them and what yeast species this is. I want to know what it was so that I have a whole collection of different yeasts for different styles of beers. I know which to go to. One thing we will be always doing, next brew day, we will have taken this yeast and we will have added it into our flask and made a good yeast starter. Yeast starters are just important all the time. But as you can see right now, I could do 2 complete batches with just the 2 jars, and I've got plenty of yeast in both of them now. So this is a great way, if you find yeast that you really love the flavors and what it adds to your beer, and you want to save it and use it over and over again, how wonderful. If what you're really after is just to save a few dollars, because boy, this yeast can get expensive, great way to save money. Plus, you really are being a brewer, aren't you? Hey everyone, as you can see, I'm about to keg up 10 gallons of my latest holiday brew. But I got to thinking about something that I've noticed can happen to some people if they're using the plastic fermenters, or even if you're into the stainless steel conical fermenters. And that is, we're back to being very sanitary, transferring our beer into our kegs. So we've sanitized our kegs very, very well. We've also sanitized the tubing that we're going to be using to transfer from the fermenter to the kegs. But here's what I have a problem with. Hopefully everybody is drawing out a sample of their wort. To do a hydrometer test. However, you'll notice, yeah, there's still wort left in that particular fitting. And the problem that happens is we end up forgetting about this, and then we can't clean it beforehand. We've got to. So, here's my tip. Remove this, clean it, and sanitize it. Also, with sanitized water and some Star San, clean the threads inside of here. You will find them to be horribly scuzzy. Clean that up really well. Then, with everything sanitized, a little spray of Star Sans, put it all back together. You are now ready to hook up your hose and start filling your kegs. Yes, we're in the tasting room. And for you hopheads, you're going to be in heaven today. Now, I'm not talking IPAs or double IPAs, though those are down the road. I'm just talking 2 pale ales. But oh my goodness, are they hopped heavily? I think you might like them, you hop heads. Our first one is from the Joseph James Brewing Company. This is out of Henderson, Nevada. And for all you who have little geography problems, Southern Nevada, even a little lower south than Las Vegas. Well, this was started in 2006, so this is a fairly new company. And it was started by Matthew Lesowski. And we just want to say, Matthew Lesowski and Company. His dad helped him, but he doesn't like to have his name in the press. Well, I had a delightful time on the phone with him. They want to make great beers, because great beers make great microbreweries. They also want to educate everybody about great beers can even come out of Nevada. And being a Nevadan myself, I know that's a fact. So let's get started with this one. This is called a Tahoe Blue. Pale ale. It has got a 6.2 alcohol content. Whoa! It has got a 65 IBUs. And if I could pour a beer decently, we wouldn't have such a problem. Excuse me for the burps, but let's keep going. This is a lovely smelling beer, and obviously I can smell it well because I've basically spread it all over. They use Cascade and Centennial hops in this beer. And look at this, it's a beautiful colored beer. You know, when you think of pale ale, you think of really almost a real light. But this is more of a pretty amber. And I'm going to fight my way through this head. Yeah, I know. I tell you, the hops are magnificent. You hopheads are truly going to love this beer. Now, let me get to the beer. Oh, this is, again, for you hopheads, you're going to find this beer delicious. I think the color's wonderful, the mouthfeel is delightful, and the hops, well, let me tell you, the hops are just magnificent. You love hops? You're going to love trying this beer. I know it's available in probably 8 to 10 states. Boy, I wish all great beer was available everywhere. But give this one a try. I think you're going to like it. Well, our next one, Southern California Stone Brewing Company. This was started by Greg Koch and Stephen Wagner in 1996. Now listen to these numbers. These guys, as with so many of the microbreweries, they start out small. So in 96, granted, it's only the last few months of 96, but they basically brewed only 400 barrels of beer. Well, they not only have a brewery, but they have a magnificent eatery. Look at the taps that this place has. It just knocks me out. This is what we need in our own homebrew areas. Well, let me tell you, in 2009, these guys did 98,500 barrels. I hope you heard that number. Delightful place. The gardens are gorgeous. I think this would be a wonderful place just to spend a beer man's holiday. Let's get a taste on this one. Their pale ale, it has got a 5.4 alcohol content, 41 IBU. Their hops are Magnum, primarily. I'm trying not to let it get away from me. And Autumnum. Now, Autumnum I've not heard of. But, ooh, this has got a beautiful, beautiful aroma to it. The beer is gorgeous. Again, not a real pale ale. It's more of an amber ale. Let's try this. Okay. Oh my. This is also a hophead's heaven. You guys who are really into the major hops, this is hop, hop, hop. A little sweeter than the Tahoe Blue, but the hops are really, really nice. I think investigation of hops is something that would be exciting. There's so many varieties out there. We should be exploring all the different ones and what they can do for us. Well, this is a lovely beer. Oh, sitting in their gardens, sipping this. Oh, what an afternoon. All right. For you hopheads out there, you're not going to go wrong on either one of these beers. They are delicious. I'm going to give them a rating of 2 thumbs up each. Great beers. I think you're going to like them. And I'm excited about trying other beers from both of these breweries. Well, we've had another great time on Homebrewer TV. Leave your comments below. Just hit the word comments. It'll let you in. And by all means, send your emails to me if you have questions. Love to hear from you. Also, guys, it's totally open. Send in your home brews. I'd love to taste them on the show. I think it is so much fun sharing each other's beers with everybody out there. Hey, don't forget our sponsors. I know 2 Design Art is saying it's getting close to Christmas. Get out of the doghouse, or if you're not in there, just buy your significant other or wife or girlfriend or whomever it might be something special. And check out BYO. Magazine's fabulous. I will see all of you next week right here, Homebrewer TV.